Hi guys, Grandpa P the Science G here, and today's lesson is going to be on thrust. Thrust is a force. It's a push on an object to make it move. Uh, and the first experiment I'm going to do, or lesson, is I'm going to tie a string to a chair, and I'm going to string the string through a little straw, piece of straw that I cut from a straw, and I'm going to attach a balloon to this straw by scotch taping it, and I am going to blow the balloon up, and out the back of the balloon, when I let go of it, will be the thrust. The thrust is a force that's going to push this balloon in the direction of the chair. In an example, this thrust is an example of a rocket and how a rocket gets up into space, or up into the air and then into space. It has engines at the bottom of this rocket, and these engines burn a fuel that explode when it's fired, and out the back of the rocket comes a thrust, and it propels the rocket in an upward direction into the sky and eventually into space. Once it gets into space, it can stop the thrust because the inertia, which is the direction the rocket is moving, keeps it moving through space because there's very little air, if none at all. And then the higher you go, the air gets really thinner and just finally disappears, and then you just have space which is airless. And the inertia, or the motion that that rocket is moving in, carries it through space to its destination, wherever that may be, or its orbit, if it's going to orbit the Earth. And every once in a while, if they want to turn the rocket in a direction, they have little side thrusts that come out the side, and it pushes it in the direction. It may push it in that direction if the thrust comes out this side. If it comes out the other side, it'll push it on the other direction while it's in space. Okay, now the second experiment I'm doing with thrust is I've got a CD, and you know a CD has a hole in the middle of it, and I'm going to take a cap, or I already did this. I took a cap, like a soda cap, a plastic soda cap, and I glued it to the top of the CD so it covers the hole. And in that cap, I drilled a little hole. I drilled a little hole in that cap, and I'm going to put a balloon on top of that cap so that it goes right over the cap and over the hole, and I'm going to fill that balloon with air. And then when I release the air in the balloon, what will happen is the thrust will come out the bottom of the CD through that hole, and it will make the CD kind of hover over the table. And you can push it back and forth, give it a little thrust, as we were talking about. And the thrust coming out of the bottom of the CD will keep it elevated above the table a little bit. It'll just keep it up high enough so that it could float and hover over the table. So this is another example of thrust. You guys like to use the waterboard in the ocean, and the thrust would be a big wave coming and pushing you in the direction of the shore. That's another thrust. There are all sorts of thrusts, and I just want you to understand the concept. So let's go over to my table, and let me show you the two experiments I have for you. Let me lower this so that you can see better. Now you see a chair over on the left here. And to that chair, sit down in the table here. Let's bring this a little closer. To that chair, I have a string attached. And you see the balloon right here with a piece of straw, and the string's right through the straw. And I'm going to blow this balloon up and you hold the string pretty tight, and you let it go, let the balloon go, let the air out, and the thrust from the air coming out of the back of the balloon will thrust the balloon in the direction of the chair. Now, let me see if I can blow this up now. Okay, now, you know the more air you put in the balloon, the more thrust will come out the back and the faster it will go. If you guys want to have a little race, you can put 2 strings up or 3 strings, and you can all have your own straw with a balloon attached and see whose balloon goes the farthest. All right, now watch now. I'm going to let this go. Now I could have gone another 5-6 feet if I had the chair out farther. The thrust of that balloon carried the balloon to the chair. Now the same concept is with a rocket going into space. The thrust coming out of the back of those engines on the bottom of the rocket thrusts that rocket up into the air, and then when it gets into space where there's little resistance because there's not any air, they can cut the engine, stop the thrust, and the inertia or the movement of that rocket will move it in the direction of wherever its destination is. Maybe it's the moon, or maybe it's just going to orbit around the Earth. Okay, that's that experiment. Now let me show you the other one with thrust. This one, I took a CD, I glued a soda cap to the top of the CD, and I put a balloon over the cap. And as I said before, I drilled a little hole in the top, so when I blow this balloon up and then release it, the air will come out the bottom where that little hole is, and it will make the CD hover. Okay, I'm going to put this down so you can see the table, and I'm going to take the tablecloth here. Oh, and you know what? I brought these little cars here because just an example of thrust. I can make this little car move in a direction by giving it a force, a thrust. And as you see, it moves in the direction that I pulled it. And then I got another one here. Same thing. I can give it a thrust and it moves in the direction of the force. Okay, let's go back to this one, and I'm going to move the table cloth so that I get the smooth part of the table here. As you can see, this is nice and smooth. I'm going to blow this balloon up. I'm going to put it now on the table, and as you can see, it's hovering, and you can play a game like a hockey game, and you see how nicely that moved. Let's try it once more. See how neat that works? And you can try that at home. You just got to wait for the glue to really harden and make sure it's set so that you have a good, firm, leakless application. So, That's it for today. I will give you another one a little later. I wanted to do one with a air bottle, soda bottle, and I'll be showing you that later. Bye-bye. Check it out. Grandpa Pete, the Science Jeep.